Spider-Man. Spider-Man。
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りしました。
So I played the new Spider-Man 2 game, and I have some thoughts. I know I usually bitch about my reviews, but put down your pitchforks, okay? I did like this game. That being said, I have some thoughts. I know I don't normally make game reviews, but this time I'd like to make an exception because this game kind of frustrated me at times. I'm not a massive Spider-Man fan, but boy, do I love me some Venom.
I definitely don't want to miss out on 19 inches of Venom.
I made an in-depth video on the Venom movies and the Amazing Spider-Man movies if you're interested. Anyway, when I saw the Venom reveal for this game, I was pretty hyped. Now that I've played the game, you know, I'm kind of lukewarm, and I'll explain why. First off, the set pieces in this game are insane. Right off the bat, you're fighting a gigantic Sandman, and it's awesome. There are many moments like this throughout the game. You'll be fighting the Lizard, Kraven the Hunter, of course Venom, and even some other guys if you do side content like Mysterio. The traversal in this game is very fun. You could easily spend hours just swinging across the city because it just feels that good. I didn't really understand the point of the wingsuit. It did make getting across the bodies of water easier, so I liked it for that purpose. But other than that, I'm not really sure why they added it. There are these mini side missions where you have to follow a drone using the wingsuit, but I didn't find them all that fun, so I don't think that's a very good reason. The combat is really fun as well. Stringing together combos in this game feels really cool, and for the most part, the voice acting is pretty great. For the most part.
Ruh-roh.
How there aren't any loading screens in this game is kind of mind-boggling, and they added this fast travel system that I never used, by the way, but it's kind of insane. When you unlock the fast travel for a portion of the map, you can hover over any part of that section and instantly fast travel there. It's kind of crazy. Technically, it's insane, but mechanically, it makes no sense in this game. Traversal is incredibly fast in this game. There's honestly no reason to have fast travel. To be fair, you can't fast travel during missions, so fast travel mainly exists for completionists. There's wind tunnels you can travel through that make you go 1 billion miles an hour. And yeah, I do think those were kind of stupid. There were moments when I felt like the web swinging was kind of obsolete when the wingsuit can get you places much faster. Peter and Miles both swing through the city differently. I think it's more fun to swing through the city as Miles because he just looks cooler when he swings.
Full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it.
Peter and Miles do have different skill trees. They use different abilities, but they both use the same spider gadgets. And for the most part, you'll be playing as both of these characters in pretty much the same fashion. Punch goons, dodge goons, counter goons, shoot webs at them, use your abilities, wait for cooldown, and repeat. I wish there was a little bit more variety between the two characters. Sure, their abilities look different, but functionally they're pretty much the same thing. Both of them have moves for crowd control. Both of them have moves that launch the enemies in the air. I get that it makes switching between the spiders easier. I just think it would have been nice if there was more of a stark contrast between the two spiders. The gameplay doesn't change all that much when you switch between the two spiders. The stealth in this game I found to be a lot less engaging than the combat, so whenever the game told me I had to sneak, I really didn't see the point. It is pretty funny how oblivious the enemies can be though. You can be standing on a web directly above them and they won't notice you somehow. Nobody will notice you until you attack someone. There's a stealth mission with MJ, and you can literally rush up to someone and stun them. Someone can see you do this, but if you run away fast enough, a question mark will pop up above their head, and they'll be like, wait a minute, who was that? What happened? It must have been the wind. Miles does have the ability to go invisible, which makes stealth with his character a lot easier. So I guess that is one thing that's different between the two characters. But I still didn't use the invisibility all that much, because I just found combat more enjoyable. Stealth never really felt necessary either. You could easily jump into a room with 40 guys around you and defeat them all with relative ease. The combat feels rewarding and fun, finishers look really cool, and when you're fighting with the other Spider-Man, they'll both perform the finishers together, and I really like that.
There it is! There it is!
I really didn't care too much for a lot of the side missions in this game. Most of the open world missions are pretty lackluster. They either require you to fight a bunch of goons, use your new wingsuit. Some of them are so lame that they have you watering plants or connecting power nodes to power something. Also, what's up with the arsonists just running around the city with no introduction? Why are they burning everything? Who are these guys? What's their purpose, you know? What the hell?
Those people are trying to brand someone!
What?
To be fair, there's no introduction to the Sandman either. The game just kind of throws him at you in the beginning. But most Spider-Man fans have a basic idea of who the Sandman is from the movies and cartoons. But what is this cult? Their formal introduction happens like 3 hours in. There are some unique side missions where you're controlling a little spider bot, but I still found them mediocre at best. At a certain point, I just ignored them altogether. None of these side missions were fun enough for me to seek them out. Instead, I would maybe do a couple here and there that were on the way to the next story mission. Don't get me wrong, I liked having them, obviously. It was nice being able to test out new abilities before doing a story mission. I also found that I always had enough experience and materials to unlock the suits and abilities that I wanted. And I feel like if you did do all the side missions and upgraded your character to the max, then unless you're playing the game on the hardest difficulty, then your character would just be overpowered and the game wouldn't be as fun. When I got to the Venom fight, I got my ass handed to me, which means I had to focus and learn his moveset. It made the fight that much more engaging. But if I maxed out my character before this fight, then it probably wouldn't have been as fun for me. I don't know if it's because I was burnt out on side missions from the first game and I'm feeling this Tears of the Kingdom syndrome, or maybe it's because I'm getting older and don't want to spend all that extra time because I don't have it. It's most likely a combination of those things. I can easily see someone going out and completing all the side missions. But personally, I found most of them pretty lackluster, not that engaging. I did all the Mysterio dungeon things, because those side missions had the same appeal that they did in Batman Arkham Asylum. You know how in that game, when you're doing the side missions, you know that they're leading to something cool, because they're connected to a villain that you want to face, like Mr. Freeze, for example. So when I was doing the Mysterio side missions, I was looking forward to the last one, because I was pretty positive I was going to fight him at the end, and I was rewarded for this. Even though the fight is kind of wonky, it's in a snow globe, it's hard to see what's going on. I still thought it was cool though. Those are the types of side missions that I like. Sure, there are others kind of like that in this game, but for me they just didn't have the same allure. Bruh. Collecting the crystals for the Sandman side quests can get kind of monotonous, but the ending is kind of cute. You get to meet his daughter. I don't know, it was just cute, okay? It's just getting to these satisfying conclusions to the side quests that I found a little bit repetitive. There are some side quest story missions that have to do with the characters. I completed one that had to do with a saxophone or something. I have to find where this very famous saxophone went or something, and it leads you down a rabbit hole, and it ends with you walking around a party that's pretty lame, honestly. I don't know, maybe some people might have enjoyed this. I don't know, man, it just wasn't for me. During the sax missions, you can see Spider-Man the cat hanging around, and he's so cute, look at him, look at the little cutie. There are some missions where these kids at the school will ask you to take photos for them, and of course your radar doesn't work when you have the camera open. It's just an annoying mission, and it's not all that fun either. Like, I get it, Spider-Man is a photographer, right? Like, he takes pictures. And sure, there's like little things that you can take pictures of around the city. It's fine, you know, it takes 2 seconds. But there's other missions where these kids will ask you to take a bunch of pictures. And sometimes it's not very clear what you're supposed to take a picture of. And it took me way too long to do it. Side missions like this suck, okay? There's one side mission as Peter where you ride a bike around a park. There's other missions where you're a little drone and you have to shoot things for the bees or something. Oh, it's so dumb.
The Bodyguard, Queen's Edition. Giving new meaning to Queen's Bee.
Oh, brother, this guy's
Pretty good.
How come so many of the side missions revolve around a gang stealing something? It gets kind of repetitive, and none of them are all that interesting. There's a mission where you have to help someone ask someone out. This whole mission is so dumb. Spider-Man, can you turn my TV screen on? And he can't turn the TV on because the generator has been stolen by some gang. They steal and sell generators. This same type of thing happens later in the game, during the last bee drone mission, where there's a gang that steals and sells bees. It's so stupid. A gang stole a teacher, a gang stole a plant, a gang stole a saxophone, so Spider-Man has to swing in and save the day from the gang.
Yeah, but this is like niche.
Don't get me wrong, there is some standout side content, but for the most part, it's very basic stuff. Also, there are aspects of this game narratively that impacted my immersion and gameplay in the open world. Like, for example, when you're playing as Peter, you're forced to use the 4 mechanical Spidey arms on your back. They don't give you build options. So say you like a specific Spidey suit, but this Spidey suit doesn't have something on the back with 4 holes where these arms can come out of. It just makes gameplay weird. Like, where are these big steel Spidey arms coming from? They're just protruding from within his back? Like, come on, dude. They force you into this Iron Man Spidey suit build. In the beginning portions of the game, I almost felt forced to use the mechanical Spidey suits that have those back pieces so that the steel Spidey arms protruding out of my back make more sense in combat. And later in the game, when Peter gets the Venom suit, it makes you feel like you need to wear that suit so that the story missions make more sense. And so the cutscenes aren't so jarring and weird when you see Peter pop up in a suit that he wasn't wearing 2 seconds ago. Sometimes the goons make comments about your black suit, so you're incentivized even more to not wear all the cool suits the game gives you.
What the black do?
This makes me feel like I can't wear the suits that I'd like to. I felt like I had to wait until the campaign was over so I could free roam around the world wearing whatever I wanted, so it wouldn't impact immersion.
Nice.
Sure, I would test certain suits to see how they look here and there, but I would instantly go back to the suit that the game told me I should be wearing. This isn't a huge complaint, by the way. It's just something that I noticed. It ruined immersion for me personally. I can see how someone might not be bothered by this, and they can just wear whatever. Speaking of suits, near the end of the game, Miles makes this god-awful looking suit, and he says something like, "I thought it was time for a Miles Morales original, you know? A one of one." Wait a minute. When he made his other suits too. What do you mean a one of one? Your other suits are a one of one. You're not getting your other suits shipped to you from China.
I like your suit. Thanks. I made it myself.
That shit's ass, bro.
And I'm not joking when I say nearly every other unlockable suit for Miles looks way better than this special suit he unveils at the end of the game. It's so funny how the worst suit in this game turns out to be a collaboration with Adidas. They really thought they were cooking with this thing. Oh my God. You can actually look inside of the Adidas store in this game, and it's pretty detailed, which kind of goes to show that Adidas's involvement in this game went a little bit deeper than just a suit. Must have given them a lot of money. I appreciated that they added the Spider-Noir suit from Into the Spider-Verse. It would have been hilarious if they had Nick Cage voice this one suit when you wore it.
Who are you again?
I also thought it was really cool that they made the Spider-Verse suits move like they're animated in the movie. When you combine this with the combat comic effects that you can turn on in the settings, it makes for a really cool experience. I love how some of the suits have unique spider legs. They just make the suits look so much cooler when you're using the spider legs because they're a color that kind of matches the overall suit, but then they completely drop the ball with the symbiote. It's so weird. The white symbiote abilities will remain white when you wear the black suit. It's so dumb. Miles Morales has this one suit where he's wearing a backpack with a cat inside it, and I love it. But whenever I wore it, I felt bad for the cat. I love that depending on whether or not you're flying, the voice lines will change from yelling to talking normally.
I've never seen anything like this before. Exosuit that completely eradicates any trace of his disease. Any leads on where they might have taken Tombstone?
The amount of voice work these guys had to put in, my God. Some of the movement in this game felt a bit awkward at times. Like when you're holding right trigger to run, this also makes you jump on obstacles automatically. So if I wanted to get inside something quickly, it would be kind of annoying because my character would jump on top of the thing I'm trying to get inside of. So I kind of had to rewire my gaming brain to be like, okay, dude, now slow to a walk so you can get inside. I also thought some of the voice acting during the fighting scenes were a little, I don't know, cringe.
Does anyone have sunscreen? And will one of you do my back, please?
But the writing for the dialogue could have definitely been better. I noticed this most when I was fighting MJ in her symbiote form Scream. Side note, it was pretty cool to see Scream in this game. I definitely wasn't expecting that. Don't get me wrong, there were moments where the dialogue does shine and feels uniquely Spider-Man. One such moment was the "I'm fresh out of honey" response to a brute wearing a bear fur.
Okay, before we get down to business, there's something I have to tell you. I'm fresh out of honey.
For the most part, the voice actor for Peter, Yuri Lowenthal, did a great job, but there were moments when Peter was meant to be emotionally distraught, but the way his dialogue was delivered didn't convince me of this. The main baddie in this game is definitely Kraven the Hunter. He takes up the first 3/4 of the game. Basically, he's going around killing all the other baddies for sport, and it's your job to take him down. I thought this was pretty neat, and definitely made him out to be more of a threat. It's just a shame that we never get to see him blast lasers out of his nipples. I like how the city changes based on what baddie you're facing. Like when you're done fighting Sandman at the beginning of the game, there's sand all over the city.
We gotta get through to set up triage.
On it, Chief.
And later when you fight Venom, there's symbiote strands taking over the city. After the boat mission, you can visit the pier to see the boat still crashed there. And after the Kraven Venom fight, Times Square is completely destroyed. And after the Hunter's raid on Foundation, you can see it's being patched up. Also, you can find Sandman's hand on the beach, in which the locals turned into a hangout spot. I have to admit, this game is full of wholesome moments, where Spider-Man will spend some time to help everyday people. It's a good touch. The Sandman side quests with the crystals, and the Howard the Pigeon mission, and especially the Grandpa mission.
Hey, sorry. Friend of mine.
And I love that if you visit Aunt May's grave throughout the game, Peter will say something different depending on the stage of the game that you're at.
Glad you couldn't see the last few days, May. Not my best.
And it's so cool that they made it so you can just walk up to a reporter and they won't just acknowledge you, they'll start interviewing you.
New Yorkers want to know, is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, but it might be a salad. Think about it.
Oh, and Spider-Man definitely does not kill anyone in this game.
Nice!
And they let him!
The MJ missions were definitely more fun this time around, but I still enjoyed myself a lot less during these sections. Not to mention they make MJ incredibly overpowered. She takes out these hunter goons with a stun gun twice as fast as the Spider-Man can, and it's pretty silly. Later in the game, her stun gun is improved by the Spidey boys, so it functions like a laser pistol, so she can fight Venom's goons. And she kills them in a few shots each, when it takes a Spider-Man this long to kill one. This is so funny to me because the Spider-Man webs are useless in comparison to this gun. One of the devs commented on the criticism of MJ's missions and said something to the effect of, yeah, she's OP, who cares, fuck off.
And if she's low OP, I don't give a shit. She's fine.
Which I can respect. But that doesn't mean it didn't obliterate my immersion. Like, why the hell wouldn't the Spider-Man use this same power if they had it, right?
Web shooters?
I honestly might have preferred if they gave MJ a power of some sort instead. Make her a sort of Iron Man suit or something. Instead, she wanders into a symbiote nest, armed with nothing but this gun. I don't know, if I was Peter, I probably wouldn't be cool with the love of my life doing this. There's some pretty weird advertisements if you visit Times Square. There's something called Intense and Personal, which is an unforgettable story about an unforgettable person. Oh my god, it's so mysterious. I wonder what it is. And who could forget Black Man Brothers or Webcam Wanderer? Travel the web, literally. Get it, guys? Or the upcoming movie about coffee called Bumpy Grinds. From the producers of Unqualified and Unexperienced. Detective Retrowave. Is that like this game's version of Blade Runner or something? Frosted Halos and 647 Ways to Die. That's a very specific number. Or the incredible Adidas ad, impossible is nothing. Very profound. Okay, now it's time to talk about Venom. In this game's story, Harry gets the symbiote first. Peter almost dies, so the symbiote bounces to him. Peter carries it for a while. He becomes a lot more aggressive and mean-spirited, until finally Harry gets it back again. But before getting it back, Harry feels betrayed by Peter. Even though he should know it's just the symbiote making him act this way. I mean, he had the symbiote on him. He should have seen it change changing him to some degree, right? And even if he didn't know at first, as time goes on, Peter is clearly changing. He's not acting like Peter. Harry knows this guy. He's his best friend. He's known him for years. And I guess because Harry's dying again, he turns on Peter because he overhears his father praising him. It's not like the effects of the suit act like a drug when you're not wearing it. Harry's not going through withdrawals, he's just dying.
Why don't you pop some more pills and say what you really feel?
And sure, I guess it felt really good to have the suit on, right? He was powerful, he was healthy, so I get it, right? He wants the suit back. And Peter's being a huge asshole for some reason. He was very quick to say the Foundation didn't matter after it was destroyed. His best friend is dying and he won't give the suit to him. It makes a lot of sense that Harry would be pissed at Peter. I get it. My issue with this whole thing is how out of character all of this stuff is for Peter. Before this, he was a very altruistic guy who always put his friends and family first. This guy always tries to do the right thing. So for him to all of a sudden just do a complete 180 out of nowhere after wearing this suit for a while, you'd think you'd put 2 and 2 together. But Harry just assumes that he's just being a dickhead for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure MJ knows that this is happening to Peter, right?
That suit is changing you.
Shouldn't Harry be focused on trying to get the suit off of Peter instead of hating him for not giving it to him? Why is Harry so selfish randomly? He does ask Peter for the suit several times, so it must be pretty aggravating that he just doesn't ever remove it. So maybe he needs some help removing it, you know what I mean? Why not invite Peter over for dinner or something and drug him? Rip the suit off of him when he's asleep. I don't know, use a bell or something. And put it on Harry. And then, oh my God, Peter's not an asshole anymore. Wow, must have been the suit the whole time. Don't hate him for something he obviously can't control. It's just strange to me for Harry to hate Peter to the degree that he does at the end of the game. I'm just saying they should have done something else to solidify this hatred more. And no, Harry overhearing this conversation is not enough. Also, Eddie Brock, the original Venom, was a beefcake with a lot of pent-up anger and aggression. So it made sense for Venom to take on these attributes and look all big and scary, right? This is why when Peter has the symbiote, it doesn't look this way. It's kind of like a second skin, right? It just enhances what you already have. But for some reason, when Harry gets the symbiote for the second time later in the game, his body grows to 4 times its size and he just transforms into Venom. I get that the symbiote is carrying some of Spider-Man with it still. So yeah, like the big spider on his chest makes sense and everything. But why is it so big, right? I get that Harry's very angry right now, but anger alone should just increase Venom's aggression. It shouldn't increase its size. It makes even less sense because when Harry was wearing it earlier in the game, it looked normal, right? It was just like when Peter was wearing it. I suppose now the symbiote is in full control, right? Harry's in the passenger seat 100%, and the symbiote is doing everything. But still, it doesn't explain the size. Pete mentions that he thinks he would have grown large if he wore the suit long enough.
Harry looks a lot different than you did when you had the suit. I think that would have been me eventually.
But come on, dude. It's not like the suit grew as Harry was wearing it. It was small when he wore it at first, and then when he wore it for the second time, it was just massive all of a sudden. There was no growing involved. If someone in my audience could explain this to me, so maybe it makes more sense, I would appreciate it. While I was playing through this game, I was fully expecting Kraven to get the symbiote somehow. I thought it would make a lot more sense for him to eventually turn into Venom, especially since he's dying in the game, and the symbiote would be a way to save his life.
Then you know, I will not die in a sickbed.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't have loved that either. I would have liked it more if they tried to implement a different spin on the Eddie Brock story. Let Harry have the symbiote for a while, that's fine. Take it away from him, have him turn to the Green Goblin, and then introduce Venom. Introduce Eddie Brock's character earlier in the game, build up his character, give him the Venom suit, have Venom kill Kraven like they already do in this game. Then we can have a Venom and Green Goblin showdown at the end. I would have really liked that, but of course they need to keep Green Goblin for the third game, but come on, dude. Fuck it, throw Carnage into this game too, you know? Make this game as good as it can be. I know that Carnage is technically in this game. He's the fire cult leader. You do meet Cletus Cassidy, and it's pretty obvious that he's gonna play a bigger part in the next game. And I'm not saying that he was necessary to have in this game. It just would have been so cool, you know? I know they can only give so many villains the limelight, right? The first game had such a cool thing going with the Sinister Six. I just think they could have made this game great. Push it a little further to make it feel next level. This game does have great moments, and Venom is an amazing villain, but I think this game heavily relying on Venom and Kraven the Hunter Hunter to carry it weakened the experience. Sure, the Lizard, Sandman, and Mysterio all make appearances, but I think it needed a little bit more, you know, just a little bit. Honestly, I'm just not a huge fan of Kraven the Hunter. I think he's pretty lame. I'm not a big fan of the ultra testosterone male who's just looking for that next thing that can possibly kill him. I mean, the fact that he was going around killing the other baddies was kind of interesting, but I wasn't a big fan of his character alone. I just have really fond memories of playing the Spider-Man game on the Nintendo 64. And you got to fight so many villains in that game, and it was so fun. You fought Carnage, you fought Venom, you fought Rhino. I don't know, I just really wanted to recapture that sort of bliss. Back in those days, they put everything into a single game, you know what I mean? Nowadays, it's all about what's gonna be the next game, right? What are we gonna do with the next one? We gotta save stuff for the next one. No! Make these ones as good as possible! Miles Morales' arc is much weaker than Peter's in this game. It basically entirely revolves around him and his beef with this guy named Mr. Negative, which I thought was meh, you know. Like, sure, they have a history, but aside from that, Miles doesn't have a lot to do aside from assist Peter. Most of the main story missions don't even involve him. There's even missions where Peter will ask Miles not to take part. Peter will say things like, Spider-Man can wait, Miles can't.
You're gonna miss your essay deadline. But what if Lee's there, I'll take care of him. Spider-Man can wait. Miles can't.
All right.
Indicating that there's a difference between the two, almost suggesting that Miles isn't a Spider-Man. There are very few missions where both Spider-Man will take part. There's not a single mission aside from the very first one and the last one where both Spider-Man actively participate together. I mean, there is the rescue mission, but it's a rescue mission. Also, Miles often complains about how Pete doesn't need him. They really don't speak to each other that much throughout the game, even before Pete gets the black suit.
I think it's this treatment he's been... Oh, that's Harry. Gotta go. We'll talk later. Gotta run.
Hug later. He says that a lot.
I have to take this. Catch up later?
Oh. Sure, man. Later. Hey, you've reached Pete. Leave a message. Where the hell are you, Pete? Did Pete ask you to call me?
Well, no, but figured 2 Spider-Men are better than 1, right?
Sure. Okay, thanks, MJ. Sounds like he doesn't need me. Yeah, you don't even answer my calls anymore, man.
Which is really strange because at the end, they make this huge deal about how Miles is taking up the mantle of Spider-Man. Yet the most he does, outside of collecting trash for his uncle and playing VR, is get captured. And he can't even escape. It doesn't make a lot of sense why Pete would be anxious about leaving in the first place, when he already did leave in the Spider-Man Miles Morales game, making Miles the one and only Spider-Man.
New York's only Spider-Man.
And it all turned out fine. Miles was able to save the city from Cataclysm alone, so he's obviously more than capable. Anyway, also there's a point in the game when they let you play as Venom, and it's fucking awesome! Definitely one of the high points in the game for me. I do wish they gave you 4 abilities instead of 2 when you play as him, but it still felt awesome. They allow you to rush through buildings like they're made of paper. You chomp down on people and pulverize huge groups. It's great. It's kind of strange that Venom has no reason to be named Venom in this game. I know that there's a canister in the game that had V and M on it, and Kraven said that he isn't venomous enough or something.
Not as venomous as they say.
But that's pretty flimsy justification for his name. Eddie Brock named himself Venom because he blamed Peter for ruining his reputation. So in order to survive, he had to write about things he didn't like. He referred to the garbage that he had to write as Venom, and so he named himself Venom. I love that. In the game, it's just like, well, Venom's a pretty cool name. The boss fights in this game are definitely the highlights. Venom's fights are pretty tough and easily the most enjoyable fights in the game, so I think they pulled that off pretty well. But I did find the fight with Kraven to be more irritating than fun. He has a lot of bullshit up his sleeve and it's just annoying. I honestly believe if Insomniac wasn't holding things back so they could make a 3rd game, they could have made this game phenomenal, but instead it's just good, you know? The hunters often refer to a country named Simcaria, and sometimes they'll speak in different languages, but when Kraven speaks to his family on private recordings, he speaks in English.
This will be good for you, Ledrochi. Father, please, end this now.
And during the MJ mission, she speaks some of their language to the guards on the radio. I mean, maybe this language for the hunters is only for the hunters. It's still kind of weird. Also, some goon that poisoned Miles before capturing him said spasibo, which is thank you in Russian. So it makes zero sense why Craven, a Russian, would speak English when talking to his wife and kids on the phone about some family power struggle.
I think you did not want to be outclassed. That is exactly what I want.
I guess this game's version of Venom is immune to fire, which is quite different from the comics because in the comics, the symbiote hates fire. During the mission where they release Tombstone, Harry's wearing the suit and he says he doesn't feel the heat at all.
Getting hot in here!
I haven't noticed. I think this suit is fireproof.
Why did they never try to close the particle collider door during the last battle? Were they afraid Venom would just destroy the entire machine? I don't know. There's some Spider-Verse Easter eggs in this game, which I thought were pretty cool.
Hi. Who are you?
The memes and bugs that the people have been posting online for this game are hilarious, by the way. There's this amazing bug where you turn into just like a little block of tofu. It's just Spider-Man as a block of tofu, swinging through the city as a little block of tofu. Also, there was that big controversy with the flag of Puerto Rico in Miles' apartment because the devs accidentally put the Cuban flag there. I guess because they look similar. Why'd they allow you to win a hat at the carnival if you can't even wear it? It's bullshit. There's this one cutscene and I don't know.
I'm over here stroking my dick.
Sounds fun. Fill me in on the way.
It's a little suggestive, don't you think? Why'd they leave that in? I know he's doing the dishes. They could have had him doing anything, but it's like they wanted to make this a meme on purpose.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
And why is he doing the dishes in his costume? He's Spider-Man, he can change in like 1 second. There's a part when Miles' mom just like goes through her son's laptop. Is it really a great idea to invade the privacy of your teen son? To be fair, there are people like Andrew Tate out there. So maybe she's just making sure that he's not being influenced by that guy. If you visit the embassy of Wakanda as Venom, he'll make the Wakanda Forever sign. Miles did a useless backflip in a previous game, but don't worry because he does another one in this game. Those are my thoughts on Spider-Man 2, and thank you so much to all my patrons that make videos like this possible. If you're scrolling up the screen right now, I love you. You can join them by going to patreon.com/ElvisTheAlien. Thank you guys so much for your support. It means the world. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.